isn't it? She's here. So I'm making an announcement.
So I'm gonna be here most of the summer trying to figure all this out.
That way.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I know 4:30.
So I think that falls so much like the photo.
Okay.
I didn't know where it was, so I sat right here. So.
Everything's necessary. I mean, the upper grade levels are really going to have special needs.
Gonna get tough. Those are all on.
What do you mean? That's good. Everybody. I think so.
Yeah.
Call the meeting to order. We started the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome for what's hopefully going to be a short meeting. First item up, we have our consent agenda, which is primarily personnel recommendations. I move we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
Okay, so with that, included in the consent agenda was a recommendation for Kylie Thomas to become our first ever Shelby Eastern Schools Early Learning Director. So congratulations to you, Kylie. Kylie's done an outstanding job down at Waldron with Little Mohawks Preschool, and we're excited to have her lead both campuses forward with our early learning to make sure that all of our students are kindergarten ready by the time they get there. So thank you, and we're looking forward to working with you.
Congratulations. Move on to new business. First item, we're going to consider Morris County Elementary principal recommendation.
Okay, so as you know, Mr. Korn, who's sitting over here, is leaving us. And so we have been tasked with replacing Mr. Korn. And we had 15 applicants of a variety of different levels of experience for the position. We had a committee of 8 interview 7 candidates. And Mr. Jim Tush, who's here with us tonight, rose to the top. He did 2 interviews with us. And we are super excited, and I am super excited to recommend him as our next building principal at Morristown Elementary School. And we have confidence that he is going to do a great job. So,
Mr. Jim
Tush, sorry, for the record. I'll figure it out.
I move we approve Mr. Jim Tush.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. All right, next we're going to consider a recommendation for a combi oven at the elementary at Waldron.
Yeah, so we've replaced some of the steamers at High School, Walden High School. Steamer Walden Elementary give up about half of the years. This should be the last one. We're actually still have to put one out. Try to get this. The budget savings. Use less gas. That's the decision. And the good news is it's possible. But we really
I saw all the different quotes. Is there one company over the other you've had better experience with?
so far, it's been pretty good. Very
Which one were you asking for?
I'll say good recommendation.
Stanford Smith?
Stanford Smith.
We can't serve cold food. I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Lastly, we're going to consider the purchase of some student devices.
Brian, do you want to highlight the rationale behind that
Yeah,
recommendation?
so what we're looking at is getting into an actual life cycle. So the biggest problem that we have currently is because of having the emergency. We did 2 years in a row purchased 600 phones. So the entire fleet was replaced in 2 years. That's not maintained. We're basically going to have to get back to the cycle to where we're buying so many every year to keep them, within a 5 window. So what I'm proposing is starting with, and this happens to be our class is 274 devices. It would be first grade, it would be fifth grade, and it would be freshman year. They all get new devices. Those devices in the secondaries would run for 4 years. In the fifth year, they would go into a spare cycle, spares for 1 second. And then the kindergarten, elementary school, we're going to run the devices for 5 years. What we'll do is we'll start first grade. First grade is easier to predict than kindergarten as far as they have students. So we'll be replacing first grade every year. Then we'll keep them in the elementary fourth grade. Fourth grade will only go back down to kindergarten. So kindergarten will have the oldest device. The most likely place of them getting broken is within kindergarten. So it would be nice to have the device there. Start running out spares. We should have extra spares in the secondary. If you look at the 5 years, I actually attached the 5 years, looked at the declines. So every year after this year, next year's year after that, it's 160,000.
Any of your vendors contract that so we can set a rate on the computers so we do so many over 5 years, or?
So what we're seeing is that somewhere between 2 and 5% increase average normal every year. So that's normal. With tariffs and with still recovering from COVID, the normal has been fluctuating. So what we've seen just in the last year is about a 2% increase in cost of it. Our concern is if there's long-term tariffs on this area, that's China's. So
Are there any leasing options?
I did talk to Dr. Hitchcock about leasing. My main concern about leasing is what happens if we do this 5 years in a row versus what we're doing, we're renewing at least every year. So what we have to do is change the code mechanisms and go into buying 300 per school. At least. The lease is basically a dollar buyout. At the end of the 4 years, we've got it for 1 more year before starting. So it's about the same. The biggest problem that we see is paying for the insurance up front for this new program with paying insurance to the students. It's unlimited repairs as long as it's not, basically intentional damage. And we work with a company out of Fordville that picks them up for us to have to repair them. So that reduces the workload on two types of buildings to be more focused on teaching more instead of repairing.
My bigger concern isn't the cost, is a 5-year lifespan of that piece of technology going to be beneficial to students in 4 to 5 years as fast as technology changes? Is that piece of equipment going to be able to maintain what they need to do in the classroom?
So far, it has, at least what I've seen from since I've been here. So, I'm just following up for the next years. They've lasted some, this is 6 years. We've had to make it work. The technology behind Chromebook is more static. It's not like a PC. So basically, it's a cloud term. It connects to the Google. So when things change to the cloud. Where in Windows and Mac PCs, they basically, you have to replace them with the software for all installed. So, we've seen them last 4 or 5 years. We might get 6 out of some. Now, what we have to do is probably reevaluate that path to make sure that the technology doesn't change what the state requires.
I'd be curious on a 2 to 3 year complete replacement out through the schools. I mean, that's the kids' main piece of main device they use for learning outside of the teacher itself. Yeah, I can appreciate trying to stretch them out 5 or 6 years, but I'd be interested to see what the huge cost difference would be in replacing them more frequently to maintain better, higher quality equipment. If that's what their main liaison between them and the teacher is, that PC or that computer.
One of the things about the devices I'm looking at is a slight notch up from the one device, and that they are more durable. So they should last longer than, without seeing the projections. So far, the Novos are going, some of them going for free. Nothing wrong with them, no practical cases. For Max stuff that we had when I first came in, and we had of 15 different vendors. Dr. Hitchcock, I think, Cody had all different devices, different Best Buys and things like that. Now, you couldn't have spare parts, you couldn't be able to replace things on the fly. So, one of the things we do want to try to stay with is the common fleet if possible, and not vary back and forth. So, the 3 years, I think, is cost prohibitive, because now it doesn't follow a good cycle as far as replacing stuff.
Well, you've done a really good job. You're the expert, and if you think that's doable, then I'm good with it.
If there were PCs, I'd be concerned about Chromebooks and iPads. We've got some iPads.
And just to keep in mind too, that 5th year is more than likely they're going to be a loaner. So a student forgot their device, they get stuck with the 5-year-old one for that day. So really, they're in their hands for 4 years as a everyday use.
Unless the state does any more budget cuts, and they could be 10 years.
Now, part of what we will also do, and we're doing already this year, is we evaluate the growth. So far, what we've graded, and we're about 80% through almost everything's come back in the year we stay. So much better than what I thought. So still losing chargers. Chargers are still a problem. I've checked with other schools, everybody has the same problem. So.
So Brian, who are you recommending?
What I want to do is sit down and talk to Dr. Hitchcock. It's going to be between the rowing and forward edge, and the differences in the device, HP or the Lenovo.
What do you prefer? I've seen his IT skills.
Yeah, the Lenovo's been doing good so far. I just have a few questions, and I actually got to get back to the vendor about the chipset. It's slightly different on the HP, a little more advanced. I want to see if that's going to buy us that extra time. Get a little bit better performance for the same dollar.
Did you say any of that in English?
So, Brian, between those two vendors, could the board recommend an amount not to exceed once you get your final questions answered that you've been waiting on, and then that way we can move forward?
Yeah, one thing, don't get them ordered in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So if we have to touch it.
What do you need then from us? What's the amount you need?
Well, we were right over about 110. Is that 104 something?
Yeah. Was that the high quote, 104?
Yeah, the high quote.
Okay. So then.
And that includes the insurance.
Yep. And so you could make a recommendation not to exceed the high quote, which I think is 104 and change.
Just making it even 110 so we don't catch ourselves.
Yep.
Was there a different number than what? There were 2 different quotes, and one was 169, and one was 161. So was there something different somewhere?
So if you look at the quotes, what they did is they combined devices. I sent an attachment with the packet that shows which line item we're looking at.
Okay.
So what we were doing is we were looking at 3 different style devices on both sides, and then chose the one in the middle. So the quote's going to show a total.
And this cost will go down as the device need goes down year to year, correct? We're doing the highest need the first year?
As far as the number of students?
Yes.
So next year, it'll be 100 devices less unless we grow others.
So not to further complicate the recommendation, but the state now will allow us to charge device rental fee again. So for 2 years, they said we couldn't, and we had to recoup the whole cost ourselves. Prior to that, we were charging parents $50 a year as a device rental fee to recoup some of our costs. So in probably the June board meeting, I'm going to be coming to you with a couple recommendations for fees that we are now allowed to charge. Another example would be we can now charge students who take dual college credit classes for textbook rental. We can't charge for K to 12 textbook rental, but if they're getting a college credit for that class, we can charge a textbook rental. Not that I'm saying we should, but we now have that ability because the law was changed this past session. So one of the things that Brian and I have had some discussions about is with the increasing cost of the devices and the necessity to have them for a learning tool for the students, we've talked about should we start charging that fee again? And I'm of the mindset we probably should consider it. And that's something that we're working out with the treasurers, and we'll have a recommendation for you next month.
And I did a breakdown, basically paying $76 per year. That's not counting into the software. That's just their physical.
You educators in the building have an opinion if they're important starting in kindergarten. Having a device. Having a device in their hands.
I think what
Don't worry,
teachers
I
are
guess that
required
needs
to
to be-
incorporate into their lessons what kids are supposed to be learning.
Incorporated that into.
K1 are also motor skills, so they use it as class for getting exactly. So there's as much motor skills.
Yeah, what we get from the state.
No, we charge parents for the kids in the school.
Fair enough.
And we don't charge, like, whatever we pay for kids in the school. See it. Within that.
The state has to get down the level of grades, learning the side of
Now,
Like.
Because they're all digital, right? Fair enough.
They tie us in. I said they tied us in.
Oh, yeah. All right, thank you. Anything else?
I don't think so.
So we need a motion to approve or to allow Brian to negotiate up to $110,000 on devices, correct? Is that?
Yes, his quotes will come in below that.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
I will move to let Brian negotiate the prices for the technology not to exceed 110. I'll second.
Any discussion?
you can get them down any cheaper?
We looked at used, they'll catch us in year 4,
Just kidding.
so.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I believe that is all.
That is all.
All right. Congratulations to both of you on your new positions. Anything else? Meeting adjourned.
Oh, okay, so the blue pen.
Oh, that's what I signed.
No, I've used a yellow pen all day, but that's, I couldn't find a regular pen.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not, I'm getting these.
It takes.
Yes, so. So we're just gonna, so that way we just walk through there.
I think you're right. I think you can do that. That fits in the plastic all summer long plugged in. Yeah. Speaking. I think we're gonna have it. And that's one of the.